Hello and welcome everyone to this Q&A session on user experience or UX. I'm Vikalp Jain, founder and president of Acadgild, and with me today we have Shivakumar Viswanathan, popularly known as Shiva to his friends. Shiva is an alumnus of prestigious Design Institute NID and has been in the field of user experience and design for almost 25 years now. During these 25 years, Shiva has been a design entrepreneur and has also led senior positions at prestigious design companies like Ogilvy and Brand Union. Currently, Shiva works as an advisor to reputed design firms all across the globe. This session is for people who are wanting to start their career in user experience or design. We are going to discuss about how a career in design can be a rewarding experience. We are also going to talk to Shiva about tools, technologies and skills you would need to become a successful design UX professional. So welcome Shiva, good to have you here.
Thank you for having me over.
So let me start with the most basic question. What is UX? Can you explain it in terms which a beginner can understand?
So as people, we use technology to solve small problems and overcome hurdles all the time.
Right.
The idea is to create these technology solutions in a more useful and usable way.
Great.
Largely, that is what user experience design is all about. But it's more about stressing on the people who are using it. For example, how does actually a farmer does his banking online? Or how does a child learn a new concept very easily? These are things that we bother about as user experience designers. And if the aspiring user experience designers want to do this, they've got to learn user experience design.
So using technology to create useful and usable solutions and keeping people at the center of it, that makes a lot of sense. So how are UX and design related, right? Or are they totally different things? What are the similarities and differences?
So it does relate to design in big ways. Four main points I would talk about is, one is people,
Okay.
second is context,
Right.
third is ability to create prototypes, and the fourth is collaboration, right?
Alright.
So let me kind of dwell a little bit on the idea of people.
Sure.
Finally, technology is being used by people in this case.
Right.
Design is anchored around the idea that people are using or seeing or using it for various purposes what you design.
Right.
So eventually it is anchored around the idea of understanding those people that you design for.
Okay.
User experience is exactly that.
Okay.
So you do design the stuff for users to make it more useful and make it more usable, like I said earlier. The second thing that we are going to is context. So people do not use it in a vacuum.
Right.
They use it in a context. They use it while they are moving. They use it while they are in a specific situation. Design pretty much thinks about this context. It is like the farmer I told you
Right.
about using banking solutions, right? The bandwidth matters. The entire set of environment that surrounds him matters a lot for him to use that solution of sort.
Right.
It also matters that the amount of education or literacy that he has with technology,
Right.
So all this is also a design criterion, and so it is a UX criterion too.
Okay.
It's quite similar in that way. The third piece that we are going to, design believes in putting something together way earlier than it goes into production.
No.
We call that prototype. We call that prototype because it is almost like the final product. You can actually touch, feel, probably work with it,
Right.
but it might not work exactly like the final product.
Right.
The nice thing about this is you can get feedback from potential users and stakeholders on this prototype.
Right.
That is like design, and same thing is done in user experience. Right? And the fourth part is ability to work with multiple teams, being participatory. Like for example, user experience has got to work with technologists. User experience designers have got to also work with business teams to create solutions that are worthwhile.
Right.
Design teams forever have been working with production, like printing in graphic design,
Right.
or engineering in product design, and so on.
Right.
So it's quite similar that it cannot be a silo by itself, and it's got to be a collaborative idea.
Right.
So it is quite similar in that sense.
Right. So that clarifies a lot of things for me, Shiva. So what about UX and UI? I've often seen people use these two terminologies interchangeably. What are the differences and similarities here?
So great, that's a good question, right? It's constantly interchanged and it is a problem for people to understand.
Right.
But the best way to put it in a simple way, UI is a part of UX. The best possible way for me to explain this is probably by telling a scenario of sort. Like we shop often when we
Right.
actually go out in the
Right.
real world.
Right.
We walk up to a mall, then we walk up to a store. We have something in mind in
Right.
terms of what we want to buy.
Right.
So we meet somebody and say, listen, I'm looking for a blue jacket.
Right.
And we are kind of specific at times, but we probably aren't. We do not know what we exactly want, but we
Right.
want jackets. We know
Right.
that we want
Right.
jackets. So we walk in, see a set of options of sort, see one or see multiple, try a couple of them, then we decide on one and we buy them. In the larger user experience parlance, we call this the experience of buying.
Okay.
Right? So technically, it is made of a set of user interfaces, a set of nodes. It's like me, the mall is one interface. Me, the shop is one interface. Me, the person who's receiving me at the store is one interface, and so on.
Right.
So it is actually a stack of user interfaces,
Right.
interestingly tied together as a task flow. Interestingly story told, if you know what I mean,
Right. Right.
makes a user experience appropriate.
Okay.
So going back to that same old story, it's the entire experience of you that involves an emotive idea, probably an indecision,
Right.
a set of options that is presented in front of you.
Right.
So experience is all these put together,
Right.
right? Which essentially means the emotive state of the user in one sense. Things that are happening outside the screen is also a part of the experience. Like for example, you decide to call the 1-800 number given in a screen, and even the voice and the method in which they talk to you is a
Matters.
part of the experience. So user experience is much larger.
Right.
User interface is probably just a few screens that actually stitch together, guide you through a larger experience.
Great, Shiva. So that makes the difference clear to me. And it surely sounds like a very exciting profession to me. And you have been a UX design profession for all your career. So can you just tell our users why a career in UX is an exciting choice in today's world?
Sure, I'm more than excited to talk about this. So, the reason why you should actually look towards user experience design is because it is one of the few professions which is new, and it's going to be staying on for an extremely long time to come. There will be always a need. Let me try and explain why. Brands and businesses today have the technology to talk to the users,
Right.
but they do not have a way to acquire them, engage them, and further retain them. User experience is needed for brands and businesses to do these things.
Right.
Right? And so, and that will never go out of style till technology is used by people to solve day-to-day problems.
Right.
So it is important for that, and that's never ever going to go out of fashion. The second reason is this. The second reason is the fact that there are companies that are not necessarily brands and businesses alone. There are consulting companies, there are startups which are kind of coming up new. There are also large advertising and communication agencies that are moving into the technology foray and the digital communication foray quite soon and quite early.
Right. Right.
And the next point is this. The next point is that there are lots of companies, not necessarily brands and businesses that have been there for a long time. There are companies like startups that are forming new. There are companies like advertising and communication agencies, design firms
Right. Right.
that are traditional design firms. There are also consulting companies
Right.
that are moving into the digital communication and product foray.
Right.
They will need user experience design. And there is a shortage of user experience design, and it's more of a reason that people should be pursuing a career in user experience design. There is one more playful, frivolous aspect to it. Technology teams and people who are in other design stuff is getting very serious. User experience design is a little more playful and more interesting. And it's a new format of thinking, and it's quite exciting. That's the reason that I think many people should pursue user experience design as a career.
So fair enough. So those are some very appealing points, and I'm sure now our viewers would want to know how can they build a career in UX? What are the steps they need to take, and what is the starting point?
Yeah, so the first step is this. First step is to be mindful when you're actually using any technology product.
Right.
You got to become a better user for you to understand users well.
Right.
So it doesn't matter whether you are booking a cab on Uber or whether you're buying groceries on any other website or your mobile phone, just be mindful about it. Be mindful about the idea of actually going through multiple set of pages or your idea of how you made the list in your head and moved it to actually going to a site or going to the app. And how did you actually discover it, right? How did you make your choice?
Right.
And how did the fulfillment really happen? So that is the first part.
Right.
First part is be mindful about the technology that you're using.
Great.
So the second part that you've got to kind of keep in mind is to understand people. That is going to be intrinsic to anything that we really do.
Absolutely.
So it is about talking to others, like talk to elders about how they use their phones and what are the problems and pain points they face. Talk to children about how they use
apps,
technology, apps, games, their learning programs. Get used to the idea of trying to talk to people and extracting their pain points out from them.
Right.
So the first thing that we talked about is the idea of you immersing yourself into the second thing is about observation and interaction and ability to get insights from there, right? And then there is the third point is ability to deconstruct something. Like look at a user experience design that is done. I mean, I'm calling it user experience design. It is a generic app that you use. But start looking at it not as a user, but as a third person from outside.
Okay.
How can you make it better? See the points, the nodes and points through which you walk through the user experience and see are there methods in which you can make it better. And if you do have a method in which you can make it better, write it down, note it down, and that's a good exercise. The fourth and the most important point probably is read. Read about user experience. Further in this interview, I'll also talk about a whole bunch of resources that are interesting.
Sure, yeah.
But I think it is important to kind of get knowledge from outside. However, there is an easier way to kind of jump into user experience design as a career. Do the Acadgild course on UX.
So what do companies look for when they hire a UX professionals? Like what are some of those tools or techniques or skills they must have to become a successful UX professional?
Yeah, so the first one is ability to do research very well.
Okay.
I mean, it's easier said than actually.
Right.
So there is 3 skills that I would think. Ability to observe very well.
Okay.
Ability to immerse yourself in situations very well.
Right.
And ability to interact with people who do it and get insights that can actually drive what you're designing.
Okay.
So that is one set of skills. And, and it's important to in some way demonstrate this in what you put in front of the company or the representative of the firm that's hiring. That's number one. The second thing is ability to look at an experience or a flow and break it down, really deconstruct it and reconstruct it back in a simple manner. And that's a thing that they're looking for constantly. So like for example, a typical task flow that you would go through or any user in that for that matter would go through in a banking application. Or a typical task flow you would go through in learning a new concept. So those are things that you will probably go through as yourself, but represent it in a nice way for others to understand better. That's important. Delving on it a little more, I think it is important to understand the representational techniques too. How all can you represent? We can write, we can draw, we can take short videos of sort. We can actually create small booklets of sort that explain things. So representational skills are very important. Because most often what you have as a user experience designer is a concept. and you have other teams who are working with you, and you also have the users.
Right, and you need to pass this to others.
You need to pass this stuff on. And it's got to be interacted over this. So we actually call that a visual stimuli, or ability to represent something as a visual or a story that makes a stimulus so that we can talk over it.
Okay.
That is the third continuous point.
Right.
The fourth, not necessarily the least of the point, is ability to seamlessly collaborate with other teams. It kind of moves in automatically from what we talked about earlier, but you got to listen to what technology has from a feasibility and a performance point of view. You need to understand what business says from a viability and a return of investment point of view, so that you can bring in your user perspective and the design that can make the product an innovative, an interesting, and a fabulous solution.
So are there any tools which industry looks for which facilitate this kind of skills?
So the most important thing that you got to get is some of the representational tools that are good, right? So one of the few tools that we know is the Creative Suite, or the Creative Cloud as it's called. Adobe's Creative Cloud as it's called. So it's a good set of tools to kind of know whether it's Photoshop or Illustrator or in design, they're all good tools. But then what we need the most is a prototyping tool. So Adobe has got this new tool which is XD, or there is InVision Studio, which is not by Adobe, by another company. These are tools that puts a rough prototype together very easily.
Great.
Those are important.
What about programming skills? Things like HTML, CSS or JavaScript, are they required for somebody to become a good UX professional?
No, actually not. We don't need any coding skills at all. Because really coding skills makes you focus on things that comes in much later from the design or a life cycle of a product, right? Or a life cycle of building an initiative, which is technology oriented in one sense. So what you need is actually ability to represent, that's all. Like I said earlier, so coding it comes much later, about the idea of feasibility, or about the idea of performance, or about the idea of the implementation itself. Comes much later, so you do not need real coding skills at all. Some of the best user experience designers today don't have any coding skills. If that is a thing that you need to know.
That helps. So no programming skills required. So that really opens up this field to a really wide variety of professionals. But a lot of our users come from an engineering background. So how do they transition into a UX professional?
So let's talk about engineers first.
Sure.
I think engineers are used to breaking things down based on logic. They actually understand the method in which you can put one back to the other in a logical sequence to create a business flow. Because they probably have worked on technology solutions too. Then if we actually move to architects or to graphic designers, there is, first point is there is empathy. You understand the people who are going to live in the house that you're building or the mall that you're building. And similarly, graphic design understands the audience that you're talking to. So empathy is a big point that comes. And the second thing that comes in the same vein is ability to represent the concepts into drawings or videos or writing. So they can actually build on these traits and get all the other skills that are necessary to become user experience designers.
Great. So Shiva, you have helped us design and create this course on UX. How can this course help an aspiring UX professional, and how does it compare with a regular degree program from a design school?
So yeah, this course is quite carefully crafted. There are a couple of things that I actually kept in mind while designing this course itself. One is that it should not be intimidating in any possible way for a person who is from a non-design background. Second point that I kept was that it cumulatively should create a portfolio by just going through the course.
Interesting.
Because at the end of it, you should be able to have something that you can showcase to the company, because companies do ask for a portfolio often. and this will be helpful.
Right. So how is this course different from other courses then?
So for one, they are not unaided videos that you go through. That's typically the kind of courses that you come across. Another aspect of it is also, it is not just instructor led. Let me explain this a little bit. Instruction led stuff is a one-way conversation really, which essentially means that I impart something and you take it as a learner.
Right.
But this is mentor led. I would say mentoring somebody who's entering a completely new conceptual change in career is quite important.
Absolutely.
And I think this course offers that mentoring.
Great.
So there are a few reasons why this mentor thing is important. One is a point that I already said, I'll repeat it again. You are entering as a learner into a new area, and it's important that you have somebody as a guide to handhold you towards this new place.
Absolutely.
The second point is that of real-time response and feedback.
Right.
This course gives you that.
Right.
Like most of the course classes, when you actually do it, they are demonstrations or they are actionable training pieces where you can actually get the feedback pretty much immediately.
Right.
You know, or near time, depending on the number of people who have joined the course. Another important thing is this is a live classroom, which means you not only listen to the mentor, you also listen to the other students who are working with you. So if there is a point that you have missed out on learning, you get to know from the other students. For design education, I think it is so very important that it's collaborative and co-creative in one sense to actually get the concepts right. And this mentor-led live classroom course actually gives you just that.
So this discussion about mentor reminds me of a time when I was trying to learn swimming. I simply cannot overstate the importance or the help I got from coach and the lifeguard at that time. They not only helped me learn swimming, improve my techniques, but they also helped me from drowning a couple of times. So now coming to the next question, what are the important components of a good portfolio when somebody is applying for a job in UX? What kind of portfolio should they have?
So the first thing that I think good UX portfolios should have is the ability to represent your research capabilities.
Okay.
When I say research capabilities, it is simply said, but how do you represent the idea of how you did research for a specific project? That by itself could be an asset that you can present as a portfolio.
Okay.
And it's important because that is a key asset in terms of somebody being able to judge whether you're capable of understanding your user well. Second thing that you need to have, or many second things that you need to have, is a varying degree of complexity in projects, preferably shown as prototypes.
Okay.
Or as at least progressive screens. I will tell you why this is important.
Sure.
The portfolio should contain stories, should not contain screens. Because user experience is about a walkthrough. It's about the idea of somebody narrating a story of how somebody walked through.
Right.
So it is about actually telling those stories by using those screens that you designed as evidences for those stories. Right? You can also dive deeper into specific screens and talk about how you have designed and defined those components, like visual design, color palettes, sizes, and even specific devices that you have used to indicate the interaction that needs to happen with the user. Right? So those are important. Finally, it is important in some way to show the range of capabilities that's possible by you. Right? You could be an engineer who had the logic track as the main thing that you kind of moved over. So it is important to kind of talk about your coding capabilities.
Sure.
You could be an architect, which means the ability to take information and break it down easily into an information architecture is probably your kind of thing. And from there on to really defining the final product as a visual design, that's quite a range and you should demonstrate that. So the range is an important thing too. So summing up, largely 3 components. One component is ability to show that you can do research and represent the research well. Second component is ability to show a variety of complexity as prototypes and as narratives, as stories that you can walk through. The third component is to show the range of your capabilities in some way or the other.
So Shiva, what are some of the good books or online resources which an aspiring UX professional can refer to?
So I'm thinking of some simple books.
Sure.
Books that really do not intimidate the learner in any possible way. One of them is called Don't Make Me Think. It's by Steve Krug. And like the name indicates, it's a simple deconstruction of what we call as user experience design today. It's the 5th edition, which is out now, and it's a great book for anybody to go through.
Great.
The second book, it's not really simple, but it gives the anatomy of what user experience design is all about. It really breaks it down in an easy way for you to understand every possible term that is thrown around at you in user experience design. It's called Elements of User Experience Design. It's by a person called Jesse James Garrett. He's famous for starting this company called Adaptive Path at one point of time, which is a very well-known user experience design firm. Online, I usually go and refer to a lot of online user experience portfolios, which are like, if you search for the best possible portfolios and user experience, you get plenty, and that's only growing, and it's a great exercise to look at what's happening in the user experience world now. There is also an interesting website called Patterns, which is spelt in a slightly different way. It's pttrns.com, which is specifically about mobile user interfaces, categorized based on functionality and style. So it's a nice way to kind of get yourself used to knowing mobile user interface. So there are also two people, I would call them doyens in user experience design or anything to do with innovation, really. One of them is Tom Kelly, who was the founder of IDEO, and he has been the proponent of user experience design and innovation that comes from user-centric ideation, right? User-centric design, and he's a great person to follow, and also IDEO is a great company to follow. There is also Alan Cooper. Fortunately, he recently visited Bangalore, and I had this opportunity to meet him. He's another guy who's been in user experience design for an extremely long time and an inspiration to all of us. He's another person to follow. As often as you can, you should be able to read his stuff and his blogs. And there are also other books that are available written by Alan Cooper.
Great. So, Shiva, how does the future look like for UX? So, this is the age of artificial intelligence and machine learning, where these technologies are kind of eating into every job. So, is UX also threatened by them, or UX becomes even more important because of the recent advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning?
That's a great question. It has bothered us in user experience design too for quite a while. But if you actually look at what user experience design really means, it is to provide informed choices to the users. I think as technologies, artificial intelligence and machine learning are about ability to give and make these informed choices as you go through a process. So interfaces and user experience design that are created around these nowadays are being talked about as adaptive user experience, where on real time or near time, as you go through a task flow, your user experience can change, because the technology understands the user way better than we did earlier. And actually can make changes to the user experience depending on the need or the want of the user as you go through it. So user interfaces have changed too. You know, so the extension of the same question would be the world is changing with augmented reality, virtual reality, and voice interfaces and conversational user interfaces and things like that. So that also worries us a little bit. But look at an experience like this. Look at the larger experience where on one side the technology is informed and the experience is adaptive as you go through it, and the interfaces are actually immersive, where you are within your interface, or you are the interface, as they say, in augmented reality, virtual reality, or voice or conversational UI. Honestly, this is a new realm. If at all, user experience designers should be excited about this new realm rather than being fearful about it, and that is going to be the real future of user experience as we go further.
Great. So that brings us to the end of this discussion. That was very immersive and insightful for me, Shiva. Thanks a lot for taking the time out to do this. I'm sure it will be very helpful for our learners. So, and thank you all for watching this video.
Acadgild. Average is dead.